Yo, 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 yo. What up? Boy, I got these boys mad, boy. Stephen A responded to me and these junkies up all night. Man. Hey, they putting cartoons up, pictures up, trying to flag, and I'm about to switch the game up. I'm about to go back to talking politics stuff they ain't interested in and they can't flag. They gave me a warning, baby. Yeah, they gave me a warning. Ha ha. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they gave me a warning, buddy. They is upset. Why would he be so upset like that? Hey, motherfucker go live for 2, 3 hours and got zero comments. Ooh, woo. Hey, no, this ain't no pre-record. They done took that live down, boy. Gave me a warning. That live right there was crazy. I said, nah. I said, I ain't finna go back down that rabbit hole no more. They want that child to build a guy to be stupid and to be able to be free. But the thing that they don't know about Chud the Builder, and shout out to Ticket TV, is the young man was not supposed to have a gun. Yeah, he wasn't supposed to have no gun. But he had one. You said it best, KB, that quicksand. Boy, they quickly flagged my ass. They trying to show me that quicksand don't mean nothing to that flag button. Yeah, that goddamn quicksand is real. But they said, fuck that. That quicksand gonna get you flagged. Hey, that should be hilarious, boy. They is upset with me. Stephen A responding to a bus, dishing dirt to my. That was funny. Boy, they flagged me in the middle of that live. Boom. Said hate speech. Now, this man can run around and say N-word all day long, but if I say it, it's hate speech. So we got junkies and everybody up all night worried about what I'm doing, hoping to see what I'm doing. Stephen A, boy, I got you on that barbecue grill. Showing the hypocrisy, showing that, bro, you don't talk journalism. You do everything but journalism. You gossip. You get personal. Oh, wait till I play the videos where you openly admit that it's personal with you and Kyrie. You openly admitted that you and Kyrie, it's personal. Kevin Durant, you threaten to come in the locker room. Every time you a Macho Man Randy Savage. Uh-huh. Excuse me. That white guy go to First Take, Serena Williams' husband, you get the hell on out of First Take. You exit the building. So it's a very much so a shame the way that you behave. It sure is. It's a shame. But let's keep this thing going.
Plan, whatever that means. And he was on the Southern Poverty Law Center payroll.
Jim Jordan thought that this was going to be another routine hearing until he started reading who exactly this organization was secretly paying behind the scenes. And when those numbers
Law Center paid to gin up hate The very hate they told their supporters that they were fighting. Field source number 37, F-37, coordinated transportation and attended the 2017 rally in Charlottesville. The Southern Poverty Law Center paid him $270,000. $270,000 to the guy who helped put together the event where a young lady was killed. Field source number 9. He got $1 million over 9 years. F unknown. We don't know what number this guy was, but we do know he was the Imperial Wizard of the Klan, whatever that means. And he was on the Southern Poverty Law Center payroll. F-27. Southern Poverty Law Center paid him $300,000 in 6 years. And what did he do?
He talking about you about to be all night crying about Stephen A. Smith. Then there's nothing to do with Stephen A. Smith. Bro, what the fuck is this? Hurt your feelings. You won't get a chance to flag. Shut up. Go on about your business.
He ran the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club. F-43. He was president of some crazy group, and he was previously convicted of cross burning, but the Southern Poverty Law Center thought he was worth $19,000 of their donors' money. All told, $3 million. $3 million to manufacture hate. Remember when Rahm Emanuel said, never let a crisis go to waste? The SPLCs took it a step further. They went one better. They said, we're going to create the crisis. We're going to manufacture the crisis. And by so doing, they became the standard, the source for determining who's a hate group and who isn't. And of course, they labeled good pro-family organizations, conservative organizations as hate groups, like the Family Research Council is with us today, like Moms for Liberty, like Turning Point USA. Even the Alliance Defending Freedom has argued numerous cases in front of the Supreme Court. They labeled them all hate groups. But not Jane's Revenge. Nope. Even though Jane's Revenge firebombed and vandalized churches, crisis pregnancy centers in the aftermath of the Dobbs decision, they never made the Southern Poverty Law Center's list. And the Biden administration, they helped make the SPLC the standard. They consulted with the Southern Poverty Law Center. They had quarterly meetings with them. Lisa Monaco, the Deputy Attorney General, the lady who runs the Justice Department during the Biden administrations, had quarterly meetings with the Southern Poverty Law Center. Jesus. They gave the SPLC first look at FBI data, and they used them to train their prosecutors.
They had quarterly meetings. Oh, look at Big Face. What's up, Big Face? Big Face Larry. Oh, what's up, English Pug Mouth? Oh, he said he would be crying in 13 hours about whatever his name is, Skip. That's okay. You know, you'll be watching if I'm crying. I don't see why you got to use the terminology crying. I'm just going to be talking about it. But hey, if you feel the need to say cry, say what you need to say. Not going to stop me from saying something.
And it all paid off. It all paid off. Just ask Mark Halk what happens when you train the prosecutors. They kicked in his door at 6 a.m. in front of him and his 7 kids, arrested him. Of course, the jury found him not guilty. They couldn't just go talk to him, even though his lawyer said, he'll meet you wherever. Come, we'll meet you at the court. Nope. Kick in his door, harass him in front of his wife and family. Mr. O'Neill, they had an extremist file webpage, didn't they?
Yes.
And they would, on this webpage, they would pick out some crazy hate guy, and they would, some bad guy, and he was like the extremist of the month. They'd highlight him, and they would say, send us money to stop so-and-so. Is that right?
Exactly.
And F-42 was one of the field sources, number 42, chair of some crazy hate group. The Southern Poverty Law Center highlighted him on their webpage. He's bad. He's evil. Send us money. Is that right?
Yes.
Did they tell their prospective donors they were paying this guy?
Of course not.
No.
They didn't tell him. Did they tell him they were paying him $140,000?
No, not to my knowledge.
So they said, let's stop the racists, even though we're paying him to be racist. That was their pitch. But they didn't tell him that, did they?
No, they did not.
Is that appropriate, Miss Wiley?
I'm sorry, which part? Sorry.
All of that. Is that
she wasn't listening.
appropriate to say, tell your donors, this is the extremist of the month. This hateful racist guy is really bad. Send us money. But
So we can
not
pay him.
tell those donors who you're taking their money from that we're paying this guy $140,000. Is that appropriate?
Well, we have public reporting that over a dozen donors actually said
A
that they
simple
spent the
question.
money
Field
as
source
intended.
42 got $140,000 from the Southern Poverty Law Center, was featured on their webpage as extremist of the year or month or whatever they call these bad guys. And they were paying him and they were getting money. Is that appropriate? Simple question.
She just said kind of the quiet part out loud. She just said, listen, some of the donors were like, I'm completely fine with paying the people that we're basically, supposed to be hating, but we're paying them so they can be more hateful publicly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was the motive of some of these donors here, guys. Listen, you're completely fine with the organization being ran in this manner? Wild. We'll talk later.
Donors have supported it, and they keep trying to send
So it
more
is
money
appropriate.
to the Southern Poverty
No.
Law Center.
Is that technique appropriate? That's what I'm asking.
That is not unlawful to say that people have done.
I didn't
X,
ask if it
Y,
was
or
lawful or
Z.
unlawful. As you said earlier in your testimony, the court's going to determine that when they go to when they go to trial. What I'm asking you is it appropriate?
As I said, the donors have spoken, and in fact,
Wow.
they're trying to send more money now.
That's how all of these jokers are, pure evil. You can't ask them a real question. They don't have real answers for you. They play like they're above you. This shit is crazy.
Now, and their financial institutions refusing to send the money.
Is the Alliance Defending Freedom, is that a hate group?
I don't know. I don't do designations.
Well, they've argued 16 cases before the Supreme Court, won 16 cases before the Supreme Court. They stand for traditional values. Southern Poverty Law Center labeled them a hate group. Are they a hate group?
I don't know them, and I don't work on the
Well,
designations.
here's one thing.
I'm here to talk
Let me
about
ask you
the
this.
impact on
Is
civil
Jane's
rights.
Revenge, is that a hate group? Because the ADF, they didn't firebomb anybody, but Jane's Revenge did. ADF is labeled a hate group. Jane's Revenge isn't. I want to know how you would label.
I'm not here as a person who designates groups. I'm here to talk about the impact on civil rights.
Okay. Mr. O'Neill, is
It's all
you think any of
manufactured.
these field sources were double dipping? I mean, during the Biden, Ray, Garland administration, the Justice Department paid a bunch of confidential human sources, a bunch of them. We know a bunch of them were at the Capitol on January 6th, 4 went in the Capitol. And I'm just wondering if the same entity, the Justice Department under President Biden, paying these confidential human sources, who was working with the Southern Poverty Law Center, having quarterly meetings with them, consulting with them, giving them FBI data before anyone else could see it, having them train their prosecutors. I'm just wondering, do you think it was out of the realm of possibility that the Justice Department was paying the same sources the SPLC was paying?
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I have no information or knowledge that they were double dipping. I would say that Stephen J. Ross, who is author of The Secret War Against Hate, which is about the history of informants that Jewish groups had placed in some of these violent groups back, decades and decades before the SPLC ever existed. He said that neither the ADL nor the American Jewish Committee nor the Anti-Nazi League did anything like highlighting informants online as in extremist profiles while also funding them.
Yeah. Last question, I'll come to you, Mr. Perkins. In your opening statement, you talked about how it was just worse than the SPLC because how they put themselves out there or become the standard of helping the government, I think, in becoming the source of the standard on evaluating and determining what groups are hate groups, what groups aren't. But it's bigger and broader. It has things. But I think the real thing here is how closely they worked with the government to carry out what they were trying to do. And the reason the Biden administration embraced them, I think, so fully was politics, simple politics. You agree?
Well, there are members of this committee that were endorsed by SPLC. They had a C4 was involved in elections. So they were not just an umpire. They were a player on the field as well. So how can they be objective in determining who is a purveyor of hate and who is not? I mean, they had a stake in this. But to your point about their engagement with government, it goes much further than the federal government and the FBI and the Department of Justice and the Department of Defense, which their material was in briefing to the members of the military. But they also continue to have their Learning for Justice, which is about 500,000 educators across America, and bulletins to local law enforcement. And I happen to know because the agency I was with, the sheriff called me and said, "Hey, we got a bulletin that says you're a part of a hate group."
Yep.
And he was laughing.
Yep.
But that is the reach that they've had.
What is real? I think that's a question that we basically all need to kind of sit down and kind of realize here. Like, how much of what we
All of it is real. They got no answers for nothing. It's all real, bro. They got no answers for nothing. It's all BS, Jiminy Crick. That's all it is. Wait a minute now. Hold on. I don't want it on this profile. Yeah, let me find this video. I'm not even gonna play this video that I was gonna play. I'm not even gonna do it. I'm gonna play the video self-talk just did it at dummy. But I'm not. Mm-mm-mm. Where is it at? That ain't it. Let me see if it's on my phone. Damn, Kwame is drunk. He won't leave this, or Stephen A. will eat him alive again. Oh my God. Oh man, I'm not telling you more of shiznits. I'm not doing it. Hey Larry, if that's what you think, brother, you should get the hell on. Damn. These people don't know how to think. He caught a body right here, boy. Oh, I found it. He caught a body with this one. Dude caught a body. He caught this dude caught old Timo Hakeem Jeffries. And bruh, it's on. It's on. This original content is on the left wing critic. Yep, let's speed this up.
.7% in the most recent read year over year versus it got to a high of 9% under Biden. Stocks are at record highs. Unemployment is 4.2%. That's full employment. The GDP was 3%. The border is actually secure. We've got trade deals with EU, Japan, many more in the works, and trillions of dollars of foreign investment coming here. Iran's nuclear ambitions have been set back indefinitely. And I just wrote down a few things. So I just have to ask you, where is the calamity that you're talking about? And it almost seems like for Democrats, socialism is the answer to these problems. Or, I don't know, an end of democracy or something? We just don't get it.
Welcome back to Left Wing Critic. A CNBC interview just turned into a brutal reality check for Hakeem Jeffries. Jeffries came ready to attack President Trump and Republican policies. But CNBC host Joe Kernan immediately flipped the conversation. Instead of doom and gloom talking points, Kernan started listing the numbers: lower inflation, strong GDP.
I'm going to go past this. He gave y'all a little synopsis. Now, I want y'all to listen to this.
On Jeffries had cooled.
I don't know about deflation and costs coming down. All I can tell you is that the inflation rate itself was 2.7% in the most recent read year over year versus it got to a high of 9% under Biden. Stocks are at record highs. Unemployment is 4.2%. That's full employment. The GDP was 3%. The border is actually secure. We've got trade deals with EU, Japan, many more in the works, and trillions of dollars of foreign investment coming here. Iran's nuclear ambitions have been set back indefinitely. And I just wrote down a few things. So I just have to ask you, where is the calamity that you're talking about? And it almost seems like for Democrats, socialism is the answer to these problems. Or, I don't know, an end of democracy or something? We just don't get it.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what we stand for, Joe. It's pretty clear. As Democrats, we believe in a strong floor and no ceiling. In America, you work hard, you play by the rules. You should be able to live the good life. And there should be no ceiling on your success, on your capacity to do anything in the United States of America. That's the great promise of this country. At the same period of time, there should be a strong floor. Today is the 90th anniversary of Social Security. It was born 90 years ago today. What we've seen from this administration is an attack on Social Security, an attack on Medicare, an attack on the Affordable Care Act, ripping Medicaid away from millions of Americans. That actually is the type of strong floor that we should also have in this country. You pass one big ugly bill that's now law on a partisan basis that represents the largest attack on healthcare in American history. Hospitals will close, nursing homes will shut down, community-based health clinics will be unable to operate. People all across the country are going to experience increased premiums, co-pays, and prescription drug prices. That's a problem for everyday Americans. I'm not talking about people who are already wealthy and well off and well connected. I'm talking about the everyday Americans that I represent in Brooklyn and that we're fighting hard for. In fact, those same Americans, food is being ripped out of the mouths of hungry children, veterans, and seniors with the largest attack on nutritional assistance in American history. I find that problematic in the United States of America, and millions of people do so as well.
Leader, where do you land on this mayoral race in New York, and in particular on Mondani, who is clearly now the front runner in this situation, won the primary? You have not publicly come out endorsed him yet. And I'm curious what you're thinking.
Well, he ran a strong race in the primary, obviously, relentlessly focused on affordability, which is a big problem, of course, here in New York City, along with every other part of the United States of America. And he outworked the opposition. He outmessaged the opposition and outorganized the opposition. But now during the general election, of course, he's going to have to demonstrate to a broader electorate, including in many of the neighborhoods that I represent in Brooklyn, that his ideas can actually be put into reality. And that's, the conversation that he's having with me and having with people who are community leaders and residents in the 8th Congressional District I serve.
And that sounds like you're not convinced then yet.
No, well, we had one initial conversation. It was a constructive and candid conversation. It was centered around the community. And in that conversation, he indicated he'd like my help in putting together additional meetings with members of the congressional delegation, as well as leaders in many of the communities that I represent in neighborhoods like East New York and Brownsville, Canarsie, some of the more lower income working class neighborhoods that I may serve. I agreed to do that. That meeting is being put into motion right now.
How do you think about him relative to Cuomo? And how do you think about the message of socialism or being a socialist and what that may portend for the Democratic Party?
Well, I think, as I indicated, listen, my view about what we as Democrats stand for, what we're fighting for, we need to lower the high cost of living in the United States of America. We need to fix our broken healthcare system, and we need to clean up corruption in Washington, D.C., so we actually have a government that works for the American people, for everyday Americans.
Man, y'all don't want to work for everyday Americans. Stop lying. When Trump asked, was they going to put Americans before illegals, y'all sat down. I believe y'all going to do all the work y'all say. It's just going to be for the illegals. It's just going to be for the illegals. You guys work for the illegals now. You twerking for votes. You're doing anything for votes. You're trying to bring in socialism. You're trying to give everything free. Free bus passes, free ride, free, while everybody else fucked up. While everybody else got to struggle to pay their bills.
For hardworking American taxpayers, as opposed to working for the privileged few. That's what that one big ugly bill was about. Cut healthcare, devastate nutritional assistance, reward Republican billionaire donors with massive tax breaks. That's not us as Democrats. Here in this country, work hard, play by the rules. You should be able to afford to live the good life. Good paying job, good housing, good healthcare, good education for your children, right, and a good retirement, which, by the way, means protect Social Security and Medicare because they are earned benefits, not entitlement programs. Don't try to devastate them.
He highlighted strong markets, job growth, foreign investment, improving consumer confidence, and stronger border enforcement. For conservatives watching, the point was obvious. Democrats keep predicting disaster while the country is stabilizing. And Kernan kept pushing Jeffries to explain why Democrats still sound like America is collapsing. Unable to challenge the numbers directly, Hakeem Jeffries pivoted toward familiar Democrat arguments. He defended Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Obamacare, and accused Republicans of threatening health care and working families. But conservatives say this is where Democrats are struggling politically. Republicans argue Americans are focused on affordability, border security, crime, and economic recovery, not bigger government programs. And Kernan's questioning exposed how difficult it's becoming for Democrats to sell a crisis narrative while economic indicators continue improving. Then the interview shifted toward the growing socialist wing inside the Democratic Party. Joe Kernan pressed Jeffries about rising support for progressive politicians like Zohran Mamdani. Jeffries noticeably avoided giving a clear answer, and conservatives immediately noticed the hesitation. Republicans say Democrat leadership is stuck between moderates trying to sound reasonable and progressives pushing socialism, anti-police rhetoric, and massive government expansion. That contradiction became impossible to ignore during the interview. If you support economic growth, safer streets, and common sense leadership instead of radical political experiments, hit that subscribe button right now and stay informed. Throughout the interview, Jeffries kept warning about Republican policies, but Kernan repeatedly brought the conversation back to reality. If things are so terrible, why are so many economic indicators improving? Republicans argued Democrats are still campaigning like Americans are living through the worst parts of the Biden years. Runaway inflation, border chaos, rising energy prices, and economic uncertainty. But conservatives say voters now see a country moving in a different direction, and Republicans believe Democrats are struggling to adjust politically. By the end of the interview, the contrast was crystal clear. Joe Kernan forced Hakeem Jeffries to defend a narrative of crisis while facing numbers that told a very different story. Jeffries stuck to familiar talking points, but conservatives say the interview exposed a growing problem for Democrats. Americans are starting to trust what they see in their daily lives more than political fear campaigns. And Republicans believe that realization could become a major political problem for the left heading into the next election.
Yeah, I think it's over. Hold up, big swole up. Show y'all something real quick. I know y'all respect this brother. RZA Islam.
Bow tie to get my point across like this, brother. Because I say the same thing that he's saying, but what I say is I hate my own people. I'm confused. Listen.
You cannot demand something that you don't give yourself. Vice versa with us as brothers. We can't demand respect. The white man, stop hurting me, and we killing our own brothers. Wait a minute. Hold on. This don't work. You want to protest when the white man kill you, but you don't want to protest when the black man kill you.
Facts.
See, what you want really? See, I don't like that. That hypocrisy is sick. And your enemy is laughing at you. Nigga, you shot your own. Right. Now what? Yes, is it a product of self-hatred? Yes. Is it a product of the slavery and that indoctrination? Absolutely. But how many of us know it's wrong to kill a black man?
Come on.
How many
man.
of us? You can't
Dog,
tell me it's just
bro.
the white man now.
Chill,
it's not just
man.
him. Children, and you telling your friends and all that, I don't want no man. I don't need no man. Your daughter hears that. Oh, shoot, I don't need no man.
Right.
And your little son is saying, well, hell, I don't even want to be no man.
I keep telling the people, look, it's 51 million black people in America.
Boy, that was a cold bar there. And he said, your son will say, I don't even want to be no man. God, dog. Ooh, I see the haters trying to stay up tonight to get me to argue with them so they can flag me. Nah, haters, I'm not arguing with y'all. Y'all can give it up. Y'all can give it up. Let me see what this is. Yeah, I'm not arguing with you. Y'all can have it. Matter of fact, before I argue with you, I end this. Yeah, I'm not finna argue with y'all. Y'all trying to scrimp with me for no reason. It's late at night. We supposed to be keeping it chill, bro. Hold on. We supposed to be keeping it chill tonight. Y'all niggas want to argue. Hold on, man.
You ultimately lost this, and you take personal responsibility.
lost?
You lost in the state
lost?
Supreme Court.
Did the voters lose?
Well, Democrats did, and your law
Did
that
the
you
voters
passed.
lose?
Do you take personal responsibility for investing so much time and resources, tens of millions of dollars, in ultimately fruitless effort?
We did the right thing, and this effort is not over. It's just getting started. And by the way, come back to me on November 4th when Democrats have taken back control of the House of Representatives. That's ultimately going to be, what matters. What do the
And
American
if you don't because of
people,
this?
we are going to win the House of Representatives. I'm telling you that right now. I've been telling you that from the very beginning. And by the way, what math are people focused on when they think about the electoral environment that we're in? When Democrats took the House back in 2018, and at minimum, we're in a 2018 environment. When Democrats took the House back, we had to flip 20.
Because my haters probably been in the Discord. Yeah, them haters probably like, look, we almost got him. Y'all keep arguing with him, and he might say something to y'all, but I'm just ignoring him today. Well, tonight.
4 seats in 2018. 24 seats, which people said was impossible to do. We didn't just flip 24 seats in 2018, we flipped 40. And of those 40 seats, 31 were in districts that Donald Trump had just won.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about some more Democrat Party infighting, as it looks like there's now a divide between some Democrats on whether or not they should continue to fight this gerrymandering war. Now, as I've laid out in so many videos, the Democrats have lost. Okay, Hakeem Jeffries can come out here and talk about how they're going to be fighting everywhere all the time, maximum warfare, right? Whatever, right? F around, find out. Doesn't matter. Democrats do not have any more juice to gerrymander. They don't. Okay, their blue states have already been gerrymandered to the max. Okay, when they go on national television and pretend as if they're going to do more or that they can do more, they're full of it. They may be able to do more in the future, right? But in 2026, before the midterms, there's not that much they can do. They lost, okay? Their efforts out in Virginia have officially backfired. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Democrats try to be a hog instead of stopping at California, even it out with Texas. Instead of stopping there, they continue to go, and that ultimately motivated the Republicans to redistrict their states, especially after the Supreme Court took a sledgehammer to the woke Voting Rights Act, which basically said that, hey, you can't have these racially drawn districts, aka black districts. Republicans said, okay, cool, we're going to redraw maps. President Trump wanted them to do that anyways, but I think that the Supreme, so with that being said, to get into this, with Democratic efforts to redraw Virginia's congressional boundaries in shambles for now, two central figures in the fight are at odds over what to do next. Representative Hakeem Jeffries of New York, the minority leader, continues to push for, quote, maximum warfare everywhere all the time, vowing with a phrase he borrowed from Republicans to redraft lines to give Democrats an advantage not only in Virginia but across the country before the 2028 election. Governor Abigail Spanberger of Virginia, whose approval ratings dropped precipitously as she campaigned for her state's redistricting referendum, is urging her party to drop its quest for partisan advantage in favor of a more pressing issue, winning the midterms. Quote, it is outrageously premature of us to be talking about any sort of redistricting or map-changing effort when we have to win the most consequential midterms of my lifetime this November, Ms. Spanberger said in an interview this week, taking an unsubtle jab at Mr. Jeffries and reflecting broader disquiet amongst Democrats about because a blue wave is not guaranteed, right? A blue wave, if it actually was something that Democrats were confident in, like they claim, then there would be no real reason why they would be so desperate to continue this gerrymandering fight. And the reason why is because ultimately at the end of the day, if you really got the juice like that, then, you know, the voters are going to vote. And it doesn't matter how much Republicans gerrymander their states or redistrict their states. If Democrats really got the juice, they're going to win regardless, right? Especially if you consider the fact that, you know, Republicans, when they redistrict, they have to thin out some of the red areas, right? And that can backfire. Okay. Redistricting and gerrymandering does not come without its, you know, pros and cons, right? The con is that, hey, again, you're thinning out districts. You're making it easier for certain districts that before were, you know, red or solidly red. They now become like.
And they did it first. They did it first. So you can't have all this sympathy. This don't got nothing to do with no black voters not being able to vote. Black people can still vote. This is just the Democrats are going to have to compete across the board. It's a shame.
Slightly red, right? Yeah, that makes it, you know, kind of one of those things where in an election cycle where, you know, Democrats, if they do overwhelmingly well, during the midterms, right, when it comes to voting, then it can backfire big time, right? You can see districts that once were red flip blue, okay? So, yeah, I really don't understand why Democrats are so hell-bent on trying to continue this gerrymandering fight that they're going to lose if they were so confident that they're going to win the midterms. But the reality is that they're not that confident because the numbers suggest that is really a wild card in regards to whether or not Democrats will actually be able to win. So without further ado, let's get into this segment from CNN in which they basically admit that, there is not a guaranteed blue wave that is coming up here in the midterms.
we don't normally focus on sort of the variance in polls, but this is a time when it might really matter.
It might really matter. I'm going to put on my professor cap here, Professor Enton, Professor Berman, in the room with you, our dear students. And I think that, sometimes we sort of get lost, right? We focus in on one poll and one narrative, and sometimes there are competing narratives, and I think it's worth just taking a step back because I think some people are like, well, the polls said one thing and another thing happened. Actually, the polls here differ quite a bit. Democrats lead in choice for Congress. Look at this. New York Times poll came out yesterday, it's 10. That matches with Marist, that was 10. But the Washington Post came out within the last month, that was 5. Fox News came out in the last month, that was 5. And then the CNN poll that we were discussing last week, right? That was a 3-point lead. There's quite this bit of variance that is going on right here. And you know what? This is actually a good thing. This is a normal thing. This is what happens when you have margins of error that are going out there. You'd expect an average, but then you have a range of possible results around that average, and we're not necessarily sure which one is right if the election were held today. And of course, there's the extra variance of the fact that the election is not being held until November.
All right, a range of possible results. And in this case,
you want to hit a pen, Johnny?
I'm going to hit a pen. There we go.
There you go.
In this case, this result would be wildly different than that result.
Right. Okay. So you see, this is, of course, the choice, the national popular vote for the House. But what does that mean in terms of seats? What's the difference between, let's say, Democrats winning by 10 versus winning by 3? And this is where it gets really interesting. Okay. So even if you take redistricting into account, given a popular vote win of, let's say, 3 points, what would that mean for Democratic House gains? They gain probably somewhere, an estimate is between 0 and 6 seats, which at the upper end of that range would be enough to take back the House. But on the lower end of that range, that would not be. That would be Republicans holding on. But what about that 10-point lead that you see in Marist, the New York Times? Well, that would be a ginormous blowout. And this is just an estimate. It could be higher, a little bit higher, a little bit lower. But we're talking about an estimate of a Democratic gain of between 20 to 30 seats or more. They could be ending up 245 seats or north of there potentially versus being stuck, let's say, 213, 214, 215, 216, maybe barely getting to a majority. So look, when you see this range of potential results, I want you to keep in mind, yes, Democrats are probably favored to take back the House. It's by no means a guarantee, but they could end up blowing the Republicans right out of the water. All of that is within the margin of error at this point, especially given that we're months from the election.
So basically what he's saying is that when you look at the margin of error,
the way they crying, they're going to have to bring some voting machines in. Yeah, I don't think they're going to have no blue wave. But it's depending on the district. It depends on the county. It depends on where you run. So it is what it is. But hey, that is 37 minutes for a bus. I just wanted all my haters to come on over here and get mad, get excited, get off their lives, and think that I was going to talk about Stephen A. all night. And I'm not, because I know you're already harassing, bullying flags. So we wasn't even talking about that guy. So go about your business. Y'all could have been anywhere and y'all was here with me. All my haters, I kept them from women. I kept them from everything they want to do. They up here talking in my chat. The people who support, salute y'all. We understand why y'all here. The people that don't support, I don't understand. But y'all have a blessed rest of your morning. I'm finna lay it on down and I'll be back. I'm gone.